Do you ever wake up and you just lay there and you just think, what the heck is going on? The world has literally come to a halt. It's hard when there's not a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know exactly when this is going to end, and even when it doesn't, we don't know when the world is going to go exactly back to normal. So we're doing what we can. I wanted to talk about motivation and staying productive from home, and these are some tips that I do use, and they're not ones that I use every day. I think like everybody, we have good and bad days. Every day is a little bit the same and repetitive. Little things can overwhelm us. So I wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite tips for staying productive, whether it's working from home, whether it's just doing house jobs, talking to family. Here's some of my favorite tips for being productive at home. Now, the first tip that I have is making lists. I'm such a big list girl. I put it all into notes on my phone and I divide it into different categories. I do personal, I do work, I do other things that just must get done. It helps you feel productive when you can actually have something tangible to see that you have accomplished something. Now, I also divide these lists up into the amount of time it should take me to complete them. Setting a time limit is so crucial because then you're actually seeing how much time you are spending and you're not wasting time. The other day, Alex and I, we had dinner and we were sitting down on the couch and we're like, okay, we're gonna watch a movie. And next minute, we checked the clock again. It had been 2 hours and we were literally scrolling on TikTok. We just lost so much time. And that was our relaxed time. It was the end of the night. It was like 8 o'clock. But we didn't even realize that we had just lost 2 hours of time doing something so silly. Now, I'm just saying that to tell you that time limits are so important because it's so easy to get lost in a track of doing the same thing every day, especially when every day is feeling the same. Another really good thing about lists is you make it a deadline for yourself. You say, this is a deadline like it would be from a boss. It's not something you're just putting down. If you say you're going to spend 5 minutes on emails, spend 5 minutes on emails. Obviously, there's always exceptions in that you have to be flexible and you do have to be kind to yourself, but you have to also be realistic about what is your goal and how are you going to accomplish it. Now, my second point is something that we've all heard, but it's harder to do, and that is to work smarter and not harder. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law is the idea that the amount of work expands to fill the amount of time available. For example, if I gave you a task and I said you have 1 week to do it, and it's a simple task, in that week, psychologically speaking, that task itself would increase in complexity, it would become more daunting, and you would take longer to do it. You don't give yourself a chance to procrastinate and to fill that space with more work. A lot of you know that I'm studying to become a health coach, and studying online has been something that is really difficult for me. I just kept building up these assignments and these lectures and everything that was due and due dates coming at me, and it's overwhelming. But when I can break it down on a calendar and say, okay, I can actually, instead of looking at my course like this, I just break it down to week and to day. I can allocate a little bit of time here and be productive and get it done. And you actually feel so much better about yourself, and it's easier to do it that way. Now, the third point I wanted to talk to you about is something that hits me hard because, guys, I am a serial procrastinator. So that is my third point. Stop procrastinating, okay? Now, normally with procrastination, there's two reasons. There's external and there's internal. What I mean by that is we can rationalize things to ourselves as to why we haven't done something, why we haven't accomplished something, why we haven't started. With the external stimuli, basically what I mean by that is that there are so many little things that are time wasters. They steal our attention here and here. It's getting distracted by TikTok or Instagram, social media, whatever it is, getting distracted, cleaning the house, organizing the cupboard, watching TV, all these millions of little things that can steal our time. Or there's also the internal ones, which is what a lot of us struggle with, especially being at home, being isolated, getting a little bit discouraged, feeling a little bit down. So these are the things that steal our time and basically lead to us making excuses about why we haven't started or why we haven't accomplished a task on any given day. So if you're feeling like this, just sit down and write a list. Is it external things that are distracting you, or is it internal things and lack of motivation that is distracting you from completing that task? Okay, now this next point it sounds simple, but it's one of those things that, again, we tend to put off a little bit, and that is clean up your workspace. Now, I mean both your physical and your digital workspace. If you work from a computer, if you work from a phone, but it can also be just decluttering your life in general. Like, for example, I just did a big, massive unfollowing spree on Instagram, and it wasn't because I didn't like those people, just because they weren't bringing value to my life. So there's just no need for it. And you can also do your emails. It takes so little time to unsubscribe from a spam email rather than just deleting it. And I promise you, it'll save so much time in the long run. Now, cleaning up can also mean physically cleaning your little workspace as well. This is my little area that I hang out in. I get a lot of my emails and things done here, but I also do my makeup here. So when I'm sitting here, it's it's not a fun space for me. It's not where I come to hang out. It's not where I come to relax. It's where I come to be productive, where I go into my work zone. The reason that I like to create that bit of a separation between my work and my life is because of smart focus. I like to have that separation that makes my brain think, okay, when I'm here, I'm in a work mode. It's basically the art of getting the best of both worlds. Like Hannah Montana. Now, my next point is constructive thinking, and constructive thinking is basically the idea of having organized, concise, and clear thought patterns. Now, you're like, okay, Robbi, what the heck does constructive thinking have to do with being productive at home? But basically, it has everything to do with it. Because when you break it down, if you're feeling unproductive, you have to look at it. Why are you feeling this way? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling overwhelmed? So it's just that ability to think differently. And when you're thinking differently, you act differently. So if you're feeling flat and low, there has to be a reason, and you have to self-reflect, look at that and say, why is that happening? How can we fix that? Now, the way that I self-reflect is I sit down and I write a list. I'm very honest with myself, and I have to be by myself. No music, no distractions, no boyfriend, nothing. I sit down and I write a list of the emotion that I'm feeling at the moment. You know, the one that I felt a lot in the last couple of weeks was overwhelmed. So I had to write that down, and then I had to make a column next to it. And I'm like, why am I feeling overwhelmed? And you know, there's of course all the things like finances, change in job structure, you know, being away from friends and family, all of these things. And then I look at them, what can I actually change? What can I act on? Is it workload? Okay, looking at workload. Now I break that down into other little categories of less daunting projects. It doesn't have to be as daunting as looking at it like we were discussing with Parkinson's law. It's not as daunting as you think it is. You break it down and you put a time limit on it, and you're going to be shocked about how much more productive you feel, how much more real and just open and honest with yourself that you've been. Okay guys, thank you for hanging out, and again, comment below if you've got any suggestions or ideas and ways that you stay productive. Let's chat in the comments. Let's all help each other get through this. Again, we're all going through huge life changes right now, so if we can support each other and bring positivity, it will make all the difference, you guys. And I will see you in my next video.